My dog has always barked for a reason, which is why the night he started barking at an empty corner of my living room, I knew something was terribly wrong. I've had Max for 6 years. He's a mixed breed, medium-sized, smart in a quiet, observant way. He doesn't bark at nothing. Not shadows, not passing cars, not random noises from the pipes. He might lift his head, tilt it, listen, but barking has always meant something concrete. A stranger at the door. Another dog outside. Once a gas leak I couldn't smell yet. That's why this still keeps me up at night. It started on a Tuesday. Around 11 p.m., I was on the couch scrolling through my phone while Max lay at my feet, half asleep. The TV was on low volume. Everything was normal. Too normal to remember clearly, except for the moment he suddenly stiffened. I felt it before I saw it. His body went rigid, muscles locking, the way animals do when they sense danger before humans can. His ears pricked straight up. His head lifted slowly, eyes fixed on the far corner of the room near the bookshelf. Then he growled, low, deep, the kind of sound that vibrates in the chest. "Max?" I said, glancing up. The corner was empty. Just a lamp, a plant, and the wall behind them. He stood, hackles raised, and started barking. Not his usual alert bark. This was frantic, aggressive, like he wanted to attack but was terrified to move closer. He took a few steps backward instead, never breaking eye contact with the corner. "Hey, stop," I said, uneasy now. I stood and walked toward him, putting myself between Max and whatever he thought he was seeing. There's nothing there. He immediately retreated behind me. That was the first thing that scared me. Max has never hidden behind me before. I turned to face the corner. I felt ridiculous doing it, but something about his reaction made my skin crawl. The corner looked exactly the same as it always had. No movement. No shadows doing anything strange. The lamp was off. The plant leaves were still. I snapped my fingers. "Max, enough!" He didn't listen. He barked harder, backing away toward the hallway, claws clicking on the floor. When I tried to guide him forward with a hand on his collar, he resisted with surprising strength, whining now, eyes wide, body shaking. Okay, I muttered. Fine. I closed the bedroom door and let him stay inside with me for the night. He refused to leave the bed, pressed against my side, trembling long after the barking stopped. I barely slept. The next morning, everything seemed fine. Max acted normal, ate his food, wagged his tail, followed me around the apartment like always. I almost convinced myself it had been a one-off. Maybe he heard something in the walls. Maybe a mouse. Maybe I was projecting fear onto a dog being a dog. That illusion lasted until sunset. As the light faded, Max started pacing. He kept glancing toward the living room, toward that same corner. Every few minutes he'd stop, ears up, listening. At exactly 10:43 p.m., he froze again. Same corner. Same growl. This time, I didn't try to approach it. I just stood there, heart pounding, watching my dog react to something I couldn't see. When he barked, it sounded desperate, like a warning meant for me. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, shining it into the corner. The beam illuminated dust motes, the edge of the bookshelf, the wall. Nothing else. Max howled. I've never heard him make that sound before or since. I slept with all the lights on that night. Max refused to step into the living room at all. When I tried to coax him with treats, he skidded to a stop at the doorway, nails scraping the floor, and pulled back so hard his collar strained. Over the next few days, a pattern formed. During the day, Max was fine, curious, calm. He'd nap in the living room like nothing was wrong. But as soon as it got dark, he avoided that corner entirely. He'd walk wide circles around it, hugging the opposite wall. If I sat too close to it, he'd whine and paw at me until I moved. On the fourth night, I noticed something else. The room felt off. Not colder, not darker, just heavier. Like the air had thickened slightly. It was subtle enough that I would have ignored it if Max hadn't been shaking beside me, eyes locked on the corner again. This time, he didn't bark right away. He just stared. His tail was tucked. His ears flattened slowly, like something was approaching. His lips pulled back, teeth bared, but his body stayed frozen. "Max," I whispered. My mouth was dry. "What do you see?" He whimpered. Then, very carefully, he lowered himself to the floor, belly pressed flat. Head turned slightly away from the corner as if avoiding eye contact. That's when I noticed the smell. Not rot, not smoke, something faintly metallic, like old pennies. I stood up abruptly, heart racing, and the smell vanished almost immediately. I backed out of the living room and shut the door. Max didn't protest. He followed me, tail between his legs, and spent the night pressed against the bathroom door instead. The next morning, I called my vet. I described Max's behavior, asked if anxiety, age, or neurological issues could cause this. She listened patiently, then suggested I bring him in. I did, He was perfectly healthy. No signs of pain, no vision issues, no hearing problems. The vet joked that dogs can sense vibes sometimes, stress, new environments. Maybe he'd heard something ultrasonic. I laughed weakly and took Max home. That afternoon, my neighbor stopped me in the hallway. "Hey," she said hesitantly, "can I ask you something weird?" I nodded. "Has your dog been barking a lot at night?" My stomach tightened. "Why?" She glanced down the hall, then back at me. "Because mine has too, only after dark. Always toward the same wall." She pointed. The wall behind her pointed directly to my living room corner. That night, I set up my phone on a chair, camera recording the corner. I didn't expect to catch anything. I just wanted proof I wasn't losing my mind. At 11:02 p.m., Max started barking again. At 11:04, the camera audio picked up something else, a sound too low for me to hear in real time. A long, steady vibration, like breathing slowed down to an unnatural rhythm. The camera stopped recording at 11:06. The file corrupted itself. Max refused to go back into the apartment after that, and for the first time since moving in, I started to wonder if that corner had never been empty at all. I didn't sleep in my apartment that night, after Max refused to cross the threshold. Planting his paws on the hallway carpet and physically pulling backward with a strength I didn't know he had, I took the hint. I grabbed my keys, wallet, phone, and a blanket, and we went to my car. Max climbed into the back seat without hesitation, curling up immediately, trembling but quiet. It was the first time all night he stopped growling. I drove aimlessly for a while, then parked outside a 24-hour grocery store and slept in the front seat in short, broken bursts. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured that corner. The way Max had lowered himself to the floor, not in submission, but in fear. Like prey trying not to be noticed. By morning, my neck ached and my nerves felt fried, but I told myself I was overreacting. I showered at a friend's place, fed Max, and spent the day at work pretending everything was normal. I didn't tell anyone what was happening. Saying it out loud felt like giving it permission to be real. That lasted until my landlord called. "Hey," he said casually. "Just wanted to let you know I'll be stopping by tomorrow to check something in your unit." My stomach dropped. "Check what?" "An old complaint," he said. "Nothing major. There was a note in the file about noises." "Noises?" I repeated. "From the previous tenant," he said. "Said they heard something strange at night. Probably pipes. Old building stuff." I didn't respond right away. "Is that okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said finally. "That's fine." I hung up and sat there, staring at my desk, barely hearing my coworkers around me, the previous tenant. I never thought to ask why the apartment had been available for so long in such a good location. I'd been too focused on the price. That evening, I tried to take Max back inside with me. I needed to grab clothes, his food, his leash. The moment we stepped into the hallway, he froze again. Same reaction. Same terror. He stared straight ahead, down the corridor toward my apartment door, and started to growl. Not barking, growling. I dragged him out anyway, apologizing the entire time, heart hammering. Inside the apartment, the air felt wrong immediately. Thick again, heavy. I opened windows, turned on lights, told myself fear was contagious. Max stayed glued to my leg, shaking so hard his tags rattled. I avoided looking at the corner. I don't know why, but some instinct told me that if I looked too long, something would change. That acknowledgement mattered. I packed quickly. As I crossed the living room, my foot brushed something soft near the baseboard. I looked down. There were scratch marks on the floor. Not new ones. Old, shallow grooves in the wood, half hidden by the rug. I pulled the rug back with my foot. The marks formed a rough semicircle around the corner, as if something had been dragged repeatedly toward it, or away from it. Max whined loudly, nails skittering as he tried to pull me back toward the door. "Okay," I said out loud, voice tight. "Okay, we're leaving." As I grabbed the last bag, the lights flickered. Just once. But in that moment of dimness, I could have sworn the corner looked deeper, not darker, deeper, like the wall had sunk inward slightly, creating the illusion of space where there shouldn't be any. I slammed the door behind me and didn't look back. I stayed with a coworker for the next 2 nights. Max was calmer there, though he stuck close to me constantly, flinching at sudden noises. On the 3rd day, I went back to meet my landlord. He arrived late afternoon, clipboard in hand, cheerful as ever. I stood by the door, Max at my side, leash tight. "So," he said, glancing around. "Same as always." I watched him carefully as he walked into the living room. I waited for him to react, to slow down, to look confused. He didn't. He walked right past the corner. "Do you see anything strange?" I asked. He frowned. "Like what?" "I don't know," I said. "Damage, smells, temperature changes." He laughed. "You've been reading too many horror stories." He crouched near the baseboard by the corner, tapping the wall. "This area here," he said. "There was a complaint about vibrations." My heart jumped. "Vibrations?" "Yeah," he said. "Said it felt like something humming through the wall at night." He stood up, dusting off his hands, but it's solid. No issues. That night I asked my neighbor, the one with the barking dog, if she'd noticed anything else. She hesitated, then nodded. I didn't want to say anything, she said. But sometimes my dog won't come into the living room after dark. He stares at the same wall for hours. Has he ever gone near it? I asked. She shook her head. No. And once. Once I heard something. What? She swallowed, breathing, through the wall, slow, like someone trying not to be heard. I didn't tell her what I'd heard on my recording. Instead, I went home and did something I probably shouldn't have. I pulled the bookshelf away from the corner. Behind it, the wall was scuffed. More scratch marks. And something else, a faint outline, like a shape, had been pressed against the wall over and over again. Roughly human-sized. The paint there was slightly discolored, darker, as if it had absorbed something over time. I pressed my ear to the wall. At first, there was nothing. Then, very faintly, I felt it. Not heard, felt. A slow, rhythmic vibration. Like a breath being drawn and released. Max lost it. He barked violently, lunging at me, grabbing my sleeve with his teeth and pulling me away from the wall. He planted himself between me and the corner, snarling now, every muscle screaming danger. The vibration stopped. The apartment went dead silent. I stood there shaking, realizing something with absolute clarity. Whatever was in that corner didn't want me close. It wanted me unaware, and my dog wasn't barking at an empty corner. He was barking at something that only reacted when it thought no one was paying attention. I didn't sleep after that. I sat on the couch with all the lights on, Max pressed against my leg so hard his weight numbed my thigh. Every sound felt amplified, the refrigerator cycling, a car passing outside, the ticking of the clock. The corner stayed quiet, too quiet. And that somehow felt worse. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the vibration. The instant it stopped when Max reacted. As if whatever was there had learned something about me in that second. About what I could sense. About what made me pull away. Around 3 a.m., I made a decision I had been circling all night. I set up my phone again. This time I didn't hide it on the shelf. I placed it openly on the coffee table, angled directly toward the corner, recording video instead of audio. I wanted to see if acknowledgement changed anything, if being watched mattered. Max noticed immediately. He stood up, hackles raised, staring at the phone, then the corner, then back at me. He let out a low whine that vibrated in his chest. It's okay, I whispered, though I didn't believe it. Just watch. Nothing happened for a long time. Minutes stretched, my eyes burned, my heart gradually slowed, just a little. I started to feel ridiculous again, like fear itself was creating patterns where none existed. Then the temperature dropped, not dramatically, not enough to make the heater kick on, just enough that the air felt thin, brittle against my skin. I rubbed my arms, eyes locked on the screen. On the phone display, the corner looked wrong. Not visually wrong, spatially wrong. The edges didn't line up the way they should have. The wall behind it seemed to waver, as if the camera couldn't decide where the surface ended. The longer I stared, the more it felt like looking at a bad digital compression pixels smearing, depth, warping. Max growled again, louder this time, and then on the screen something shifted. The shadow in the corner deepened, not spreading outward but inward, folding into itself. The angle of the wall bent slightly, like it was breathing in. I leaned forward instinctively. The moment I did, the phone screen flickered. For a single frame, one fraction of a second, I saw it. Not a full shape, not a body. An impression, like someone standing flush against the wall, so close that they were partially inside it. The outline was wrong in subtle ways, too narrow at the shoulders, arms hanging at angles that suggested joints bending where they shouldn't. The head tilted forward, not looking at me, but listening. The video cut out. My phone buzzed once and shut off. The room felt normal again instantly. Temperature back, walls straight, corner empty. Max was shaking uncontrollably. I don't remember standing up, but I did. I grabbed my keys, leash, jacket, and left. I didn't even turn the lights off. I just left the door swinging behind me, Max dragging me down the hallway. We stayed in my car again. This time I didn't sleep at all. I kept the engine running for heat and watched the apartment building until dawn, half expecting to see something move behind my window. Nothing did. In the morning my phone turned back on. The video file was corrupted, except for one still frame saved automatically to my gallery. The same one I remembered. I didn't send it to anyone. I didn't show it to anyone. Something about it felt private. Like proof that wasn't meant to be shared. Like it was for me alone. I called him sick to work and drove to the city records office. I don't know why I thought they'd have answers. Maybe I just needed a direction for my fear. Somewhere to put it that wasn't my own head. The building was older than I'd realized. Built decades before the surrounding ones. Renovated repeatedly without ever being fully gutted. There were gaps in the records. Ownership transfers with missing dates, renovation permits that never closed. The unit number had changed at least twice. That bothered me more than anything. I requested old tenant records. The clerk hesitated, then shrugged and printed what she could. There were names missing. Literally missing. Blank lines where occupants should have been listed. Time spans of months where the apartment officially had no one living in it, despite utilities showing usage. One name appeared briefly, then vanished. A man. Lived there less than a year. Cause of move out. Volunteer. No forwarding address. I searched his name online. Nothing recent, no social media. No obituaries. But I found one forum post from years ago, buried deep in search results. A short thread about bad apartments in the city, haunted places, structural anomalies. The post was anonymous, but one reply stood out. Some places don't want to be noticed. If you notice them too much, they react. I closed my laptop. That night, my landlord called again. I've been thinking, he said. You seem unsettled. If you want to break the lease early, we can talk about it. Relief washed through me so fast I almost laughed. Yes, I said immediately. I want to leave. There was a pause on the line. Before you do, he added, there's something I should probably mention. My stomach tightened. What? That corner you asked about, he said slowly. It's been an issue before. I waited. Tenants complain, animals react, electronics malfunction. But it only ever happens when people rearrange the room. What do you mean? They move furniture away from it, he said. Expose it. Once someone tried to drill into the wall there. My throat went dry. What happened? Another pause. He stopped, the landlord said, midway through. Packed up and left the same day. Didn't answer calls. Didn't come back for his things. Did you inspect the wall? I asked. Yes, he said. No damage, no hole. But I wouldn't worry about it, he said quickly. You're moving out anyway. After we hung up, Max went to the front door and sat down, staring at it. Not the corner, the door. His ears were perked. His body tense. I followed his gaze. From the hallway, I heard footsteps. Slow. Careful. Stopping right outside my door. I held my breath. The footsteps didn't move away. They stayed there, lingering, like whoever or whatever was on the other side was listening. Waiting. Max let out a deep, warning growl that I felt in my bones. Then, softly, impossibly close, I heard it. Not through the wall, not through the corner, from directly outside my door. A slow, controlled breath, drawn in, held, released, as if something had learned a new place to stand. And this time, it wasn't hiding. I didn't open the door. I stood there with my hand hovering inches from the lock. Every muscle locked tight, while Max's growl deepened into something I'd never heard from him before. Not fear, not warning. Territory. The breathing continued on the other side, slow, deliberate, like whomever was doing it knew exactly how much noise was too much. Enough to be heard. Not enough to give anything away. I checked my phone. No notifications, no missed calls. I pulled up the camera app without turning on the flash and angled it toward the peephole. The hallway looked empty. Too empty. The lights were on, but the air looked flat. Like depth had been stripped out of it. The carpet pattern blurred slightly near my door, the way it had on the video of the corner. Max barked once. Sharp. Explosive. The breathing stopped. For a long second, nothing happened. Then the doorknob twitched. Not a full turn. Just enough to test it. Locked. I backed away, pulling Max with me toward the kitchen. My mind raced through options that all felt useless. Call the police and say what? Someone was breathing outside my door? They'd knock, find nothing, leave. And then I'd still be here. Another sound came from the hallway. Softer this time. A shuffle. Not footsteps moving away. Footsteps repositioning. I realized then that whatever was outside wasn't standing upright anymore. It was lowering itself, getting closer to the floor, closer to the gap beneath the door. Max lost it. He lunged forward, barking, teeth bared, leash slipping from my hand. He slammed into the door hard enough to rattle the frame. The sound echoed down the hall. Silence followed. Real silence. No breathing, no movement. I waited a full minute before creeping back to the door. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. I pressed my ear against the wood despite every instinct screaming not to. Nothing. When I finally looked through the peephole again, the hallway was normal. Depth restored, carpet pattern crisp. Whatever had been there was gone. I didn't sleep in the apartment that night. I didn't even grab clothes. I took Max and drove straight to my sister's place across town, arriving just before sunrise. I didn't explain everything, just enough to justify the couch. Max paced her living room all morning, unsettled, jumping at every sound. He refused to lie down, refused to drink water. His eyes kept tracking corners that didn't make sense. By noon, I had a voicemail from my landlord. I checked the hallway camera, he said. There's no footage from last night. System malfunction. Again. I didn't go back that day. Or the next. On the third day, I needed clothes, documents, proof of existence. I brought my sister with me. Strength in numbers, logic, witnesses. The apartment smelled stale when we opened the door, like it hadn't been aired out in weeks. The lights were off. The living room was exactly how I'd left it. Except the couch. It had been pushed back. Not much, just a foot or two. Enough to expose the corner completely. My sister frowned. Did you move that? No, I said, already feeling sick. Max froze the moment he stepped inside. His body went rigid, nose pointed straight at the corner. A low whine slipped out of him, involuntary. I don't like this, my sister said quietly. Let's be quick. We split up. She went to the bedroom. I went to the bathroom to grab toiletries, keeping the door open so I could see the living room. The corner stayed still. Too still. As I stuffed the things into a bag, I heard my sister call my name. Not loudly, not panicked, just confused. Why do you have pictures of me on your wall? My blood went cold. I don't, I said, moving toward the bedroom. She was standing by the dresser holding a small stack of printed photos. Her face had drained of color. They were candid shots. Her walking Max months ago. Her sitting on her own couch scrolling on her phone. Her at a grocery store, mid-step, looking off to the side. Taken from angles that suggested someone standing very close. These aren't mine, she whispered. And they're not old. I took the photos with shaking hands. One of them was dated. Yesterday. A chill crept up my spine. I wasn't here yesterday. She looked at me. Then who was? The lights flickered. Once, twice, Max started barking again, backing away from the living room. Nails skidding on the floor as if he were being pulled backward by something unseen. From the corner came a sound. Not breathing. Movement. A soft dragging noise, like fabric against drywall. Like something adjusting its position. My sister grabbed my arm. We're leaving. Now. The sound stopped the moment she spoke. We didn't wait. We didn't argue. We left everything else behind and slammed the door shut, both of us shaking by the time we reached the car. As we drove away, my phone buzzed. A notification from my gallery. A new image saved. I didn't take it. I didn't want to look. But I did. It was a photo of my living room. The couch pushed back. The corner fully visible. And in the reflection of the dark TV screen, just barely, the suggestion of a shape standing behind the couch. Too close to where I usually sat. Too close to where Max slept. Watching. Waiting. And now that I'd left, it seemed to be learning something else. How to follow. I didn't go back to the apartment after that. Not for anything. I told my landlord I was done. Keys left with the front desk. Lease be damned. He didn't argue. He didn't even sound surprised. He just said, I understand, in a tone that made my stomach turn, like he'd been expecting this outcome all along. For the first few days at my sister's place, nothing happened. No footsteps, no breathing, no strange photos. I almost started to believe distance mattered. That whatever it was belonged to that space, anchored to the corner like mold or rot. Max slowly relaxed. He slept again, ate again, let himself be petted without constantly scanning the room. I told myself it was over. That lie lasted 4 nights. I woke up just before dawn to Max growling. Not at the door, not at a corner, at me. I froze, barely breathing. His eyes weren't angry. They were focused. Locked onto my chest, my shoulder, like something was wrong with me. Then I felt it. That same subtle vibration, not from the walls, not from the floor, from inside the couch. I shot upright, heart slamming. The vibration stopped instantly. Max barked once, sharp and urgent, then scrambled backward as if repelled. My sister rushed in, half asleep, asking what was wrong. I couldn't answer. I was staring at the couch cushion beneath me, suddenly hyper-aware of its shape, its seams, the way it dipped slightly deeper than it should have. We tore it apart. There was nothing inside. No device, no hollow space. No explanation. But that morning, my phone saved another image. This one wasn't from a camera angle I recognized. It showed me asleep on the couch, taken from above. The timestamp read 3:17 a.m. The location data didn't list my old apartment. It listed my sister's address. That's when I understood the truth I'd been avoiding. It was never attached to the apartment. The apartment was just where it learned me. The corner wasn't a prison, it was a blind spot. A place it stayed until someone noticed. Until someone gave it attention. Awareness. Until someone made space for it. I was the space now. Over the next week, the signs escalated. Objects subtly out of place wherever I stayed. Photos I didn't remember taking. Recordings that cut off just before revealing too much. Max reacting to me like I was a stranger wearing my own skin. I stopped sleeping. I stopped staying in one place longer than a night. Hotels, friends' couches, my car. It didn't matter. The vibrations followed. Always brief, always subtle. Always stopping the moment I focused on them. Like it was learning restraint. I tried everything. Doctors, therapists, carbon monoxide tests, cameras everywhere. Nothing caught it directly. Nothing proved I wasn't losing my mind. Except Max. He never stopped reacting. One night, parked in a rest stop hours outside the city, I finally broke. I know you're here, I said aloud, voice shaking. I don't know what you want. I don't know how to stop this. But you can't stay. The air felt thick. Then, for the first time, it responded. Not with sound, with pressure. A gentle, deliberate weight against my back, like someone standing close enough to touch but choosing not to. An understanding hit me all at once, sharp and horrifying. It didn't want to hurt me. It wanted proximity. Observation. A place to exist where it could be noticed without being challenged. It wasn't following me. It was occupying me. The more I acknowledged it, the more defined it became. The more defined it became, the less space there was for me. So I did the only thing left. I stopped reacting. I stopped checking photos, deleted them without opening. I stopped recording, stopped narrating my fear. When Max growled, I soothed him without looking around. When the vibration came, I ignored it completely. Days passed, then weeks. It weakened. The pressure faded. The disturbances slowed. Max began to treat me like me again, because the tension was its oxygen, and I was finally starving it. I live somewhere new now. I don't rearrange furniture unnecessarily. I keep corners cluttered, lamps, plants, shelves. I don't leave open spaces behind couches or beds. Sometimes, late at night, I feel the faintest suggestion of movement, a memory of pressure, but I don't look, and it doesn't push. If you take anything from this, let it be this. Some things don't need doors. They just need to be noticed once. And if your dog won't stop barking at an empty corner, don't clear it, don't stare at it, and whatever you do, don't make room.
Thanks for watching. If you liked our videos and want to see more of such content, subscribe to my channel and hit the like, share, and comment icon down below. These story plots are entirely original, and the entire process is reliant on one woman efficiency. To grow and support this community, follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Thank you.